The biblical health code. After 30, food stops being invisible. In your 20s, you could eat whatever you wanted, sleep 4 hours, grab another coffee, and still feel completely fine. After 30, the same food starts leaving clues. That afternoon crash, hunger that comes back way too fast, that heavy, sluggish feeling in your gut, energy that just won't stay steady anymore. And most people think that's just getting older. But what if aging isn't the whole story? What if modern food pulled us away from a much older pattern, one our bodies actually understand? The Bible isn't a nutrition plan, but it does show a world built around simple, whole foods: fish, olive oil, bitter herbs, fermented foods, eggs, cultured dairy, nuts. When you look at that ancient table through modern nutrition science, something becomes clear. It wasn't primitive, it was practical. In this video, you'll learn 7 biblical foods that make the most sense after 30, and 5 modern foods that may be working against you every single day. One of the 7 will probably surprise you because everyone already knows about it, but almost nobody eats it the right way. This isn't a miracle cure. This isn't medical advice. This is a return to a food pattern your body was built to recognize. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 10:31. Food was never meant to be mindless. It was meant to be intentional, purposeful, connected to something greater than convenience. That's the lens through which the ancient world approached eating. And it's the lens that makes these 7 foods make sense. Simon Peter climbed aboard and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153. John 21:11. Fish wasn't exotic in the biblical world. It wasn't reserved for special occasions. It was just ordinary food. People caught it, cooked it, shared it, and ate it close to its natural form. That matters because fish isn't just protein. Fatty fish gives you high-quality protein, along with long-chain omega-3 fats, specifically EPA and DHA. DHA is a major structural fat in your brain and your eyes. EPA is involved in your body's normal inflammatory response. So when people say, just eat more protein, they're often missing the bigger picture. After 30, your body doesn't just need fuel, it needs repair. Salmon, sardines, herring, trout, mackerel. A simple rule: aim for fatty fish twice a week. Worried about mercury? Stick to smaller fish more often. Sardines and herring are your best options, and this doesn't have to be expensive. A simple plate, fish, some bitter greens, olive oil, a spoonful of fermented vegetables already looks a lot like an ancient meal. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Psalm 23:5. Oil in the ancient world wasn't just food, it was a symbol of blessing, abundance, provision. And yet today we've been told to fear fat, to replace it with something low-calorie, artificially light, and completely unsatisfying. Today, extra virgin olive oil is one of the most researched traditional fats in the world. But here's the problem. Not every bottle on the shelf is the same thing. Real extra virgin olive oil isn't just empty fat. It contains polyphenols, natural plant compounds that may support your body's antioxidant defenses. A good olive oil often has a peppery burn in the back of your throat. That's not a defect. That's a sign the active compounds are still alive in the oil. After 30, a lot of people try to eat clean. Low fat, low flavor, low satisfaction, and then 2 hours later, The cravings hit hard. The biblical table wasn't afraid of good fat, it was afraid of emptiness. And most of what lines the center aisles of American grocery stores is exactly that. Calories without nourishment. Use it on greens. Pour it on vegetables. Combine it with fish, eggs, herbs, lemon. A real meal should leave you steady, not hunting for something sweet an hour later. Go, eat your food with gladness, and drink your wine with a joyful heart. Ecclesiastes 9:7. Before refrigerators existed, people preserved food using salt, thyme, and fermentation. This wasn't a wellness trend, it was survival. Hold on. This is where we need to slow down, because this is where most people make a mistake that cancels out everything else. Fermentation actually changes the structure of the food. It can reduce anti-nutrients, compounds that block mineral absorption. It creates acidity that changes how food interacts with your digestion. And it can produce live cultures as long as the product wasn't pasteurized after fermentation. A simple modern example, raw sauerkraut. But the key word is raw. If it's pasteurized and sitting on a warm grocery shelf, it's still cabbage. But it is not the same thing as a living fermented product. And here's the mistake people make constantly. They hear fermented foods are good, so they eat a huge bowl on day one. Then they feel bloated. Then they blame the food. Start small, 1 or 2 forkfuls alongside a meal. Give your body time to adjust. The goal isn't to shock your gut. The goal is to bring back food that's actually alive. Americans eat a lot of dead food. Refined flour, refined sugar, processed oils, packaged snacks engineered in labs to keep you eating more. Fermented foods bring back an older principle. Food can be preserved without becoming fake. After 30, your digestion is often the first place your diet starts. Telling the truth. Better a small serving of vegetables with love than a fattened calf with hatred. Proverbs 15:17. The ancient world understood something we've forgotten. The quality of what's on your plate matters more than the quantity. Modern American food is engineered to be sweet, salty, soft, and addictive. But ancient food had a flavor most people avoid now. Bitter. Bitter herbs were part of biblical eating, not to entertain the palate. They brought contrast, balance, a reminder that food wasn't supposed to taste like dessert every single time. A modern example, arugula, sharp, peppery, alive. Leafy greens like arugula can supply dietary nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps blood vessels relax and supports healthy circulation. That doesn't make arugula medicine. It makes it real food, working with normal human biology. But most people build their plates around bread, pasta, chips, and sweet sauces. And greens become decoration. That's backwards. Greens aren't garnish. They're part of the foundation. Arugula, romaine, parsley, watercress. These foods don't demand attention, but they change the quality of everything on the plate. Which of you fathers, if your son asks for an egg, will give him a scorpion? Luke 11:12. Even in Scripture, eggs were the symbol of good, basic nourishment. Something a loving father gives without hesitation. Eggs are one of the simplest foods in the world. Not exotic, not complicated, just dense, useful food. Eggs contain high-quality protein, healthy fats, choline, B vitamins, and important micronutrients. But the main reason eggs matter after 30 is simple. Protein becomes protection. Not just muscle, protection. Muscle helps you move, recover. It supports your metabolism. It's what keeps you physically capable as you age. And one of the biggest mistakes Americans make, starting the day with almost no real protein. A sweet coffee drink, toast, cereal, a muffin. It looks light, it feels normal, but 2 hours later, hunger is back. Then more coffee. Then something sweet. Then the whole cycle repeats. Try the older pattern instead. Eggs with olive oil. Eggs with bitter greens. Eggs with fermented vegetables on the side. Eggs with fish. Simple food. Real protein. Real satiety. This isn't extreme. This is the eating pattern the modern food system replaced with convenience. And convenience almost always has a hidden cost. He asked for water, and she gave him milk. She brought him curds in a noble's bowl. Judges 5:25. Fermented milk has been offered as a sign of hospitality, abundance, and care since ancient times. It was real food, given with intention. Not candy yogurt, not a sweetened dessert in a plastic cup. Real cultured dairy. Plain yogurt, kefir, aged cheese. This is where a lot of Americans get fooled. They think they're eating a traditional health food. But what they're actually eating is sugar with a wellness label. Walk down the yogurt aisle at any grocery store. Some flavored yogurts contain dessert-level amounts of sugar, and many people eat them thinking they are making a healthy choice. If your yogurt has more sugar than protein, that's not biblical food. That's dessert, pretending to be healthy. Real cultured dairy is different. Fermentation changes the product. It can reduce lactose. It creates acidity. And if it wasn't heat-treated after fermentation, it may contain live cultures. The rule is simple. Choose plain. Choose unsweetened. Add berries if you want sweetness. Cinnamon. A small drizzle of real honey. But don't let the food industry take an ancient food, fill it with corn syrup, and sell it back to you as health. After 30, your body needs less deception and more real nourishment. Take some of the best products of the land, pistachio nuts and almonds. Genesis 43:11. Almonds and pistachios were precious enough to send as gifts to rulers. They weren't gas station snacks. They were carried with care and eaten with intention. And here's the one most people think they've already figured out, but haven't. Everyone knows nuts are healthy. That's practically common knowledge at this point. The problem isn't not knowing. The problem is how they're eaten. Nuts aren't a snack to eat without thinking. They're concentrated food. Take Brazil nuts. They're one of the most selenium-rich foods on Earth. Selenium is essential for thyroid hormone metabolism, antioxidant systems, and immune function. But with Brazil nuts, 1 or 2 is enough. A handful every day can actually be too much. That's the entire biblical food principle in one sentence. Enough, not excess. American food culture teaches us to consume without rhythm. Ancient food wisdom teaches restraint. Nuts aren't the problem. Mindless eating is the problem. Use them the old way, small amounts, as part of a meal, with awareness. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Galatians 6:7. Now, before we talk about putting these 7 foods together, we need to talk about what to remove. Because here's the truth. You can add all 7 biblical foods to your diet and still feel terrible if you're also eating the 5 things that are working against you every single day. What you consistently put into your body is what your body becomes. That principle is as true today as it was 2,000 years ago. Number 1. Seed oils. Canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oil. Industrial seed oils in their modern refined form were not part of the ancient food pattern. They became widespread in the modern American food supply, and today they're in almost everything: salad dressings, chips, crackers, bread, restaurant food. They're cheap, they're shelf-stable, and they replace the traditional fats that people have eaten for thousands of years. When you cook with olive oil and real butter instead, you're not just making a health choice, you're returning to something ancient. Number 2. Sweetened breakfast foods. Cereal, flavored oatmeal packets, granola bars, pastries, breakfast muffins. The modern American breakfast is essentially dessert, eaten before 9 in the morning. And then we wonder why we're crashing by 10:30. Sugar in the morning sets the tone for your entire day. Blood sugar spikes, then crashes, then cravings, then more sugar. The cycle runs you, not the other way around. Replace the sweet breakfast with eggs, fish, or plain yogurt, and the entire rhythm of your day changes. Number 3. Processed deli meats. Packaged ham, bologna, hot dogs, most store-bought sausages. These aren't the meats of the ancient world. They're engineered food products loaded with sodium, preservatives, fillers, and additives that didn't exist 100 years ago. When the Bible describes meat, it describes whole animals raised outdoors and eaten fresh, not something sealed in plastic with a 2-year shelf life. If you eat meat, choose whole cuts, simple, unprocessed, as close to its original form as possible. Number 4. Sweetened drinks. Soda, fruit juice, sweet tea, energy drinks, flavored coffees with syrups and whipped cream. Liquid sugar is one of the fastest ways to flood your body with sugar because there is no fiber, protein, or fat to slow it down. The ancient world drank water, wine in moderation, and fermented drinks that came with living cultures, not a large dose of liquid sugar in a plastic bottle. Number 5. Ultra-processed snack foods. Chips, crackers, packaged cookies, cheese puffs, anything with an ingredients list longer than a paragraph. Many of these foods are formulated to be hyperpalatable, easy to keep eating even after your body has had enough. The salt, fat, and sugar combinations are engineered to override your body's natural stop signal. The biblical principle of enough, not excess, becomes nearly impossible when the food itself is designed to defeat it. This isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. When you understand why these foods work against you, the choice to step back becomes easier. Now put all 7 together: fish, olive oil, fermented foods, bitter greens, eggs, cultured dairy, nuts. This isn't complicated. This isn't a restrictive diet. It's a return to a pattern that makes biological sense and spiritual sense. For the next 7 days, try building just one meal around this pattern. Start with bitter greens. Add olive oil. Add eggs or fish. A spoonful of fermented vegetables. Plain yogurt or kefir if you tolerate dairy. 1 or 2 nuts. And pull back on the 5 saboteurs: seed oils, sweet breakfasts, processed meats, sugary drinks, and ultra-processed snacks. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start paying attention. After 7 days, ask yourself, how is my hunger? How is my energy? How is my digestion? Do I feel heavy, foggy, reaching for more, or do I feel calm, satisfied, and steady? These foods aren't magic. The point is that your body recognizes them, and so does something deeper. They're simple, they're dense, they're old, and they're very different from the food system that keeps so many Americans tired, hungry, and overfed at the same time. After 30, the question stops being, what can I get away with? The question becomes, what kind of body am I building for the next 30 years? Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit? 1 Corinthians 6:19. Eat what's real. Eat what nourishes. Eat with gratitude. Eat with restraint. And return to the foods your body and your faith were designed to recognize. If this video helped you see food differently, subscribe. Every week, biblical food wisdom, ancient health principles, and modern nutrition science, explained simply.